customer. Save more for adding DriveWise. And save even more for driving safely. Visit Allstate.com or contact your local agent for a quote today. Allstate. Minimum effort, maximum reward.
Not available in every state. New customer savings based on early signing discount. DriveWise is an optional feature. Savings vary based on how you buy. Subject to terms and conditions. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
You knew the risks when you decided to drive drunk. There could be a crash. People could get hurt or killed. But that didn't stop you, did it? You knew you could get arrested. You could incur huge legal expenses, and you could possibly even lose your job. You were well aware of the consequences of driving drunk. But one thing's for sure. You were wrong when you said it was no big deal. Drive sober or get pulled over. This message brought to you by NHTSA.
This is your High School Minute.
With your Southeast Community College High School Minute, I'm Harrison Arns. Playoffs are only a few days away for high school football as teams played their last regular season games last week. On Thursday, Lincoln Southwest had a big win over Omaha Central, 24-20. Creighton Prep only gave up one touchdown against Lincoln East to win, 52-7. Elkhorn South beat Lincoln Southeast, 21-10. Lincoln Pius lost to Fremont, 42-41 in overtime. Lincoln Northeast lost to Millard West, 38-7. Outside of Class A, Waverly beat Norris in a tight contest that went into 3 overtimes, 52-49. Lincoln Christian fell to Nebraska City, 27-26. Lincoln Lutheran won over Wilbur-Clatonia, 10-7. In Kearney on Friday, the cross-country championship took place. Gabe Hendricks from Elkhorn South had the fastest time in all Class boys. He beat Carson Naker from Harrington, who came in second. Hendricks finished with a time of 15 minutes and 18 seconds. This has been your High School Minute, sponsored by Southeast Community College, with locations in Lincoln, Beatrice, and Milford. Learn more today at southeast.edu.
The party is back on in Lincoln this fall, and there's no party like the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate pregame show at Tipsy Tina's in the Haymarket. Join the whole ticket crew for 2.5 hours of pregame coverage before every home and away game this football season as they get you ready for the game. It's the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate pregame show at Tipsy Tina's in the Haymarket. Sponsored by Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping, Tractor Supply Distribution Center, T.O. Haas Tire and Auto, Planet Fitness, Barnwood and Leather, and Vitalize Health. This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet, KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. This is the Happy Hour.
You guys going to happy hour?
Live from the Koppel Chevrolet GMC studios in the heart of Lincoln, America.
Yeah, maybe I'll come for a couple.
Here are your hosts, Nick Sainert.
I want to know what it's like to commit a crime without having to spend time in jail.
And Enrique Alvarez Clary.
C is for chunk.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome in. Happy Wednesday. This is the Happy Hour, 93.7 The Ticket, ticketfm.com. Nick Sainert and Enrique Alvarez Clary with you. Hello, Rico.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I am well. How about yourself, good sir?
Not too shabby. It's an exciting evening/night ahead of us. Obviously, we'll have our normal programming and everything like that. However, 6 p.m., you guys know what's happening. It's Husker basketball. I almost said baseball. Husker basketball versus Peru State. We talked to head coach Bob Ludwig of Peru State yesterday. Gave us a little bit of insight information on the Bobcats. They have a Jonte Hogan, which I hope he gets. I mean, they open up their season against Spurgeon College on Thursday.
Biggest Jonte Hogan fans right here.
Yeah. Well, it's just a guy that also is extremely recent for Lincoln High School basketball fans to remember and stuff. So that's a guy to watch tonight. Pick up your tickets. There's a couple still available, I know. And then at 8 p.m., it's Husker Volleyball against Wisconsin. It's a top 6 matchup. Husker is ranked 6th in the country after beating Purdue last weekend.
Big dubs only.
And then Wisconsin's ranked 3rd in the country. So good matchup there. We are going to talk to Aaron Sorensen of Hale Varsity, as we do every single Wednesday at 2:30 today. Talk a little bit Purdue, Nebraska, because obviously this week it's been we've talked a lot about basketball. We've talked a lot about volleyball. Haven't talked a whole lot about football. We still got half the week left, however. So
do we have to?
Yeah, we'll be all good. We're out of the bye week. I want to talk to Aaron about how important it is for Nebraska to not come out flat, because and here's where you can interact with the show. 402-464-5685, Honda of Lincoln hotline, Starter Heyman text line, as well as on the Starter Heyman Jewelers video stream. You guys know the drill by now.
Facebook, YouTube, Twitch.
Yes. It is extremely important. I think, especially coming out of a bye week, more than normal, I think it's extremely important for Nebraska to come out sharp, because once again, all we've been hearing for the majority of the week and from both the players and the coaches is that they took this time off from a bye week, I should say, to really recharge, which
Rest
is what
and
you're
recover.
supposed to do. However, we've heard the same things in previous years, and they're not very successful coming out of bye weeks.
It would seem that in previous years, rest and recovery would also mean lack of preparation for the following game, which hopefully this bye week does not mean that. And they did rest, recover, got a bunch of guys who were probably a little banged up, healthy so that they're not injured, Adrian Martinez included. But they also did tons of preparation you had 2 weeks of preparation for one opponent. So as opposed to, getting your regular preparation after a game, one week for an opponent, you had 2 weeks to maybe not, strap on the pads and put on the helmets and hit each other and try to figure out some game plan on the practice field, but maybe on the mental side of things, trying to find out people's tendencies, what they tend to do when a certain play is called or when a certain type of play is called, and try to get into the head of the opponent and figure out how to beat them mentally instead of just physically.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Rico. And that's one thing. I mean, the secondary is going to have to pick up some slack. Deontay Williams doesn't look like he's going to be playing. You're expecting Miles Farmer
Weird.
to start in his place. So, which we've seen Miles Farmer quite a bit. He's had some significant playing time. So I'm not necessarily thinking there's a big drop off there, but we all know, we've talked about it a little bit this week. We'll talk about it and we'll say his name more often as the week goes along. They have a guy named David Bell, who is a extremely talented playmaker for Purdue. They're also going to play a couple quarterbacks. They like to play 3 quarterbacks as well. They all kind of do their own thing well, as in addition to the other guys. So we'll ask Aaron Sorensen all of that. But back to the whole conversation of not starting out flat. Once again, 464-5685. Give us your thoughts here. I'll remind you guys, we went over the kickoff times and everything, and Nebraska coming out of bye weeks about a week and a half ago, right after the devastating Minnesota loss. And here's how Nebraska has been going into bye weeks and coming out of bye weeks under Scott Frost. In 2019, going into the bye week, they lost 34-7 at Minnesota. That was that talented Minnesota team that actually made some noise that season. And now this season, they're looking like they could win the West now that Iowa's dropped off a little bit.
After a loss to Bowling Green.
Yeah, they've won 3 in a row. Now they have a game against Northwestern this Saturday, which you expect that a team like Minnesota should beat Northwestern.
Northwestern, I would say Northwestern has improved, but they got their win over Rutgers. I don't know how good Rutgers is, but Northwestern got another win under their belt. You would usually think a Pat Fitzgerald led team.
What's our deal with Fisher today, man?
We like Fishers today. Pat Fitzgerald led team is not just going to roll over and give up on the season. They're going to keep fighting, and they're going to get better as the season goes on. Like he's not going to let them just not go down swinging. So as the season progresses, they'll fix their mistakes and they'll get better. So you might see a much improved Northwestern team going up, taking on Minnesota, and you never know what's going to happen. This is a crazy year.
Oh, it's absolutely insane. Which is, I mean, that's a whole nother conversation. Is Nebraska? We talk about it every single week. Missed opportunities. In the grand scheme of things, looking at it bigger picture wise, Nebraska missed an opportunity this season to really put themselves in contention for the Big Ten West. And the 2 games that obviously you look at are Illinois and Minnesota now, but they really missed an opportunity, which is kind of sums up the Scott Frost era or even previous coaching staffs into a nice little bow. Is that it's just all been one big missed opportunity.
That's not a nice bow.
It's not. It's
It
an
is a
ugly
bow.
one. But it's just all kind of been about missed opportunity, unfortunately, and things just not going Nebraska's way, the ball not falling Nebraska's way. Looking ahead for Minnesota real quick, I mean, they're first in the Big Ten West right now. They have Northwestern, Illinois, Indiana, Wisconsin, and Iowa. So in a way, they control their destiny, as does, I suppose, Iowa and Wisconsin. Wisconsin's on a little bit farther out than those other teams.
It's a possibility.
But
I highly doubt it, but it's a possibility.
Yeah, and then like I was going back to the bye weeks here, coming out of the bye week in 2019, Nebraska lost 38-31 against Indiana at home. They didn't have Adrian Martinez in that game, I believe. And then same year, 31-27 loss at Purdue going into the second bye week, 37-21 loss coming out of the second bye week. And that's just kind of been the story, is that when we hear this same message of we really took the time to rest and recover, and we're really studying up our opponent, and we feel good about it. History says that Nebraska comes out flat and doesn't play well. And so that's where Saturday, especially now, and I'm not saying that necessarily this has seeped into the inner walls of the athletic department, but especially right now, it's very important for this staff to show that they have a grasp of what's going on there. And a game against a Purdue team that is better than most Purdue teams that Nebraska's faced in years past, despite losing to a couple of those, it's a better team, especially on the defensive side. This front seven of Purdue is better than in years past.
I would say defensively they're better than Purdue.
They're
in
banged
the past,
up on
but
the offense.
Offensively, this is not even the best Purdue team that you've been able to face. I mean, last year they had David Bell and Rondale Moore. So I mean, that in itself is just a crazy 1-2 punch to deal with. This year they're down to one scholarship running back. David Bell is the main concern on the offensive end. They still have some other talented receivers, but that is the one guy that you're worried about going off and causing havoc for your defense. But as you said, defensively, they are, I believe, top 3 in the Big Ten in defensive efficiency. So their defensive line is fantastic. George Karlaftis coming off the edge is a problem, as the offensive coordinator said. George Karlaftis is in line with Aiden Hutchinson. He is just as good as Aiden Hutchinson, and you saw the kind of problems he was causing for the tackles for Nebraska. So containing him is going to be something extremely important, and containing David Bell on the offensive end is going to be something that they need to really figure out how to do. Maybe you commit, a corner, a safety over the top. Maybe you just double team him the entire time and force somebody else to beat you. But it's important to not get beat by one guy.
Yeah, and we talked about it a little bit yesterday. Is Cam Taylor-Britt's really going to have a good game, pick up some of the slack in that secondary room, with Deontay Williams probably missing a couple weeks. He'll be back this season, Scott Frost said, just didn't give a timeline or a time frame of when to expect Deontay Williams back at that safety position for Nebraska. In good news, Nebraska is better in the afternoon windows than any other window in terms of time slots. So
I mean, if they don't do good in the mornings, you've seen what they do during night games. Hopefully, you can combine, the greatness of a night game that Nebraska's done, and maybe, bring in some more energy than you have from a morning.
Yeah, I want to talk about Adrian Martinez here, moving on, before we get to Aaron Sorensen here in about 10 minutes or so. I was looking at his stats against Purdue in the 3 years that he's played them, and I'll run through them really quickly. In 2018, Purdue won 42-28 at Nebraska. Adrian, 25 of 42, 323 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick, had 18 carries, 91 yards. The following season, Purdue won 31-27 at home. Adrian Martinez, 247 yards, 0 touchdowns, 1 interception. However, ran in for 2 scores that day on 12 carries for 58 yards. Last season, Nebraska had that big win, 37-27. They had a couple good turnovers on defense. That was they had a blocked punt, I believe, which is something of it never happens.
It's extremely rare for Nebraska to have something good happen for them on special teams lately.
And they had a couple things last year that really went well for them on special teams and the defensive side of the ball. again, especially against Purdue last year. Adrian Martinez, 242 yards, 1 touchdown pass, 0 interceptions, 13 carries, 45 yards, 2 scores. Here's where I especially want to hear from you guys. 402-464-5685. Do we feel like Adrian has to play exceptionally well for this team to win?
Like in every game or just in this game?
In Purdue. Let's look at let's shorten the side of everything and say, does Adrian need to put up a couple touchdown passes, needs to be able to run? We hear that he's going to be at 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Does he need to have a phenomenal game, or are you starting to have more faith in the running back room?
I am having more faith in the running back room, but I'm not having that much faith in the running back room. They're getting Ramir Johnson back. You still don't really know who's the number 2 behind him because, as you've seen, Jacques Yant makes a mistake and they pull him out of the game and they ride with Ramir for the rest of it. You haven't seen Marquise Stepp in a couple of games. You haven't seen Savion Morrison in a couple of games. Marvin Scott is buried on the depth chart. You lost Gabe Irvin in the Oklahoma game. So but after Ramir Johnson, it's just a hodgepodge of we have no idea who's going to tote the rock for Nebraska. So currently, I still think that it's all on Adrian Martinez's shoulders. He's going to need to have another big game for Nebraska to win this one, especially, as we said, Purdue has a really good front seven. The offensive line needs to play better. They need to block more, block longer, give Adrian some more time because, as many callers have said, as we have noted as well, it takes Adrian a little bit of time, a little bit more time than some other quarterbacks to go through his reads. That may be on him. That may be on the receivers failing to create separation. That may be just because in the back of his head, he's also thinking about the pass rush getting to him and he has to protect the ball so he doesn't fumble it when he gets hit. So there are many different things going into that. But if the offensive line can give him more time, he's still going to have to put up monster numbers and have a really good game for Nebraska to pull this out on the offensive end. On the defensive end, I mean, they don't have to have a monster game. They just need to keep doing what they're doing. They just need to keep balling out. You could say that that's them having a monster game, having a monster season, whatever. But whatever they're doing this season, just keep doing that. And defensively, they will be fine. But offensively, it's all on Adrian Martinez's his shoulders. It's his arm. It's hopefully his healthy legs. And, he's going to have to put up some rushing yards, probably, 1-2 rushing touchdowns and sling the rock. Because, like I said, after Ramir Johnson, if he, God forbid, gets hurt in this game also, I don't know who they're going to give the ball to, but I don't have much faith.
Which is so weird because going into the season, it's kind of weird how everything unfolded. And I was thinking about this earlier today when I was kind of going through my thoughts is how the running back situation really unfolded at Nebraska is kind of, I don't know if mind-boggling is the right word, but just kind of confusing. Is because we heard going into the season how confident they were in the running backs, how we were kind of confident in the running back room.
How they were going to run the ball. They were going to run downhill, one cut, get the ball downfield. And like you started it with a true freshman who seemed to be getting his legs under him and getting acclimated to the college game. You had a transfer from a big school who wanted to come to Nebraska because he believed that, that's what they were going to do was run the ball. They were going to hand it to him and they were going to let him go to work. You've got, Savion Morrison, who set all kinds of records in high school in Oklahoma. And then, you have you had some talented guys behind them. And as the season unfolded, your freshman got hurt, your transfer for some reason, I don't know, is lost in the shuffle. Savion's lost in the shuffle. And you went to a guy who wasn't even, listed on the 3 deep and who many people believed was one of the next running backs to transfer out. You went to him. He's been carrying the rock. He's been doing a really good job. But the way that everything has unfolded after the offseason, after spring ball, after fall camp is just so strange because, as you said, you were confident in what you were going to do. You were confident in the guys that you had, and you went away from all of them to a guy who wasn't really mentioned.
I think that's an interesting way to look at it is I would actually say that they weren't confident. Well, maybe we weren't confident in what they were going to do, but we were confident in what they had.
They were confident in the message they were sending,
but that's been
and
they
were confident in the guys.
years.
They were confident in the guys that they had. I don't know if they were confident in actually running the ball, but they were pretty proud to say, we're going to run the ball. We're going to give it to our running backs, take the load off of Adrian's shoulder so he doesn't have to run as much, and we're going to get our running backs the ball and hopefully get them into open space and make some big plays. And as the season's unfolded, you've seen Adrian Martinez still has to create a lot of the yards with his feet.
Which, and to an extent, we've talked about this before as well, is okay, because that's might be Nebraska's best play is when Adrian scrambles and tries to just make something happen
but
on his
should
own.
That be your best play?
That's exactly it. It's alarming when it is your best play.
Like, you've got a quarterback who you've seen when he has time is pretty darn accurate with the football. You've got some really talented wide receivers all around him, some extremely talented tight ends. You've seen that in the last couple of games. Austin Allen's been going off. Like, you have all of that for him to use his arm and not have to run and put himself in danger of getting injured. Yeah. But for some reason, for some reason, the running room or the running back room in the running game just isn't working. I don't know if it's the offensive line. I don't know if it's the running backs. I don't know if it's just the defenses not respecting, Adrian Martinez's arm and they're just loading the box. I can't point to what's going on, but for some reason, the best play that Nebraska has is give Adrian the ball, and if he passes it, he passes it. If not, let him run.
Yeah, and talking about the offensive line, and we'll get to a couple of your texts here on the Starter Heyman text line, 464-5685. Before we get to Aaron Sorensen of Hale Varsity here in about 10 minutes. The offensive line has given up 21 sacks this season, which is tied for the most in the Big Ten with Purdue. Now, like Rico said, is maybe that is part of the reason that the running game just isn't working. Also, part of it is when it's not working successfully, this staff has a tendency of just aborting it altogether,
just going away from it.
Yeah,
and we've got people on the text line saying it's simple. It's the offensive line. I don't know if it's that simple. You've got a couple offensive linemen who are pretty good in the run game. Cam Jurgens is amazing in the run game. Nuruddin Dwelly is aggressive. He gets after people in the run game. I mean, Sichterman has had a couple gaffes. The tackles have had a couple, but when you're going, it seems like the offensive when the running. We've seen it in a couple games when the running back room and Ramir Johnson has had some pretty good games. Against Michigan, he had a pretty good game. They were blocking pretty well, but it doesn't seem like it's just the offensive line. It seems like it's different every game, and that's kind of what Scott Frost echoed. When they put out one fire, it seems like something else starts up. There's some games where the offensive line doesn't block well in the running game. There's some games where the running backs just don't seem to be hitting the right holes. There's some where it just looks like the defense is keying on the run, and there's really nothing you can do because there's an extra man and you can't get that extra block. It's different things each game. I'm not going to put it all on the offensive line. They are a part of it. The running backs are a part of it. Adrian's a part of it. The play call in certain situations is a part of it. So I can't put it all on the offensive line, but I don't completely disagree with the text line.
Yeah, it's just kind of mind-boggling and crazy to think about how this running back room kind of panned out. And it's that narrative of, Ramir Johnson started 5th on the depth chart and is now the top guy, which we saw a couple years ago in the first year with Scott Frost, and how Divino Zigbo ended up being handed the job kind of after Greg Bell. That whole thing happened.
Ran with it.
And
literally
he took off. And so that's maybe the more alarming part in my eyes, is that identifying talent, identifying the proper need for your offense, and also adjusting to the guys that you have in that room.
I mean, it could also be, when you finally got your best run blocking tight end back, and it seemed like your running game was going, the guy who you gave the starting job to, who you believed was the most talented of all the running backs, got hurt.
Yeah, and don't take it away from Gabe Ervin, because during Oklahoma, you kind of saw and you really felt, especially in the stadium, that it was kind of Gabe Ervin was very close to really starting to.
Then, like I said, they had gotten Vokalek back, who by all accounts is their best run blocking tight end. They got him back for the Oklahoma game, and it seemed like, as you said, that things were going to turn around, and Gabe Ervin was this close to breaking one, and that's when he got hurt. And that was the guy they had identified as the best running back in the room.
464-5685 Fairway Jesus says, you guys think CTB can shut down David Bell. Listen, Cam Taylor-Britt, I've said it all year. It's not been necessarily the season that he's wanted. However, he really opened my eyes in the Michigan game when he was placed on a couple of their guys. He would get beat, and then he actually made up a lot of ground, quite a couple for a couple plays. For a couple plays there that really made some big turning points in the Michigan game. You can go back and watch that one. He made one near the end zone that I really recall. And then also he had a nice interception on last Saturday or 2 Saturdays ago against Minnesota. Made up some ground, and he just has a kind of a knack to find the ball. And
he's getting back into his ways as a really great cover corner. I don't know about shut down David Bell. Can he slow him down? Yes. Can he make it so that he hopefully isn't the one to beat you? I think so. But David Bell is going to get his. David Bell's going to get his because I don't know if the defense is going to have Cam Taylor-Britt shadow David Bell, or if they're just going to have Cam Taylor-Britt on one side, and then if David Bell's on the other, maybe you add a little bit more help to that side. But if Cam Taylor-Britt is matched up with David Bell, I have faith that he won't go off, but he will get his because he's too good to shut down.
Also, I mean, thinking back to that Michigan game, especially, I think this game is going to be kind of an interesting one for the linebackers on Nebraska's defense, because we kind of saw how Michigan really would stretch out Nebraska's defense, more specifically their linebackers, and they allowed short passes right across the middle. And Nebraska got burned on those quite often against Michigan. And I think that's going to be something with a team that their quarterbacks, all 3 of them, aren't necessarily great passers. You never know. You can get that confidence boosted quite easily if you're able to just connect on a couple short yard passes where your receivers do all the work.
Yeah, and Purdue's second leading receiver on their team is a tight end. And like you said, that's what Michigan did. They spread you out, and then they would release the tight end late underneath the defense, and he'd get the ball and get a couple of yards because Nebraska was just allowing completions in front of him and then rallying to tackle the ball. Purdue's tight end, 32 receptions, 336 yards, and 4 touchdowns on the year. So that's another guy you got to watch out for if Nebraska hasn't fixed that, and Purdue watched the tape of Michigan, Nebraska, which I'm sure they did. I'm sure they'll have the tight end fake a block, release late, and get some catches underneath.
It's all about mid-game adjustments and being prepared going in, which may worry a couple Husker fans. All right, let's go ahead and take our first time out. When we come back, we'll be joined by Aaron Sorensen of Hail Varsity up next on the Happy Hour.
Follow Nick and Enrique on Twitter at Nick_Sainert and at Radio Rico AC. More of Happy Hour is next on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. 93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Showers and thunderstorms expected off and on throughout the day, with steady temperatures in the mid-50s and winds eventually turning out of the northwest, gusting 30 to 40. Overnight, mainly cloudy with low down to 44. Those strong northwest winds could gust 40 to 45 tomorrow, with highs only around 54. I'm meteorologist Tim Wright for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
In every office, there's 2 types of people. There are those who bring in bagels and those who eat the bagels that someone else brought in. Everybody likes the first person. Be that first person. Weekday mornings at 7:30, you have a chance to win a business box of bagels from Bagels & Joe. All you have to do is shut up, Sipple. 2 questions for you, 2 for Sip. Win, and the bagels are yours. Lose, well, you don't want to lose.
You lost Monday, you lost Wednesday, you're a loser.
Shut up, Sipple. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels & Joe.
Guys, we need to talk about a problem plaguing our society today: chronic fruitcake slander. Now, maybe you're thinking, I've had fruitcake. It's dry and heavy. Well, I'm here to tell you that you're eating the wrong fruitcake, because Grandma's Fruitcake is anything but. Their recipe uses the highest quality fruits, hand-sorted nuts, and adds the perfect amount of brandy, bourbon, and rum. Their desserts are known and loved across the country, and they're made right here in Southeast Nebraska. If you haven't tried them yet, you're missing out. Grandma's Fruitcake from Beatrice Bakery. Welcome to our world of yum.
At first, I was really nervous and intimidated to buy a ring. I wasn't sure what I was getting into.
My experience at Starter Heyman was very easy. I felt like I walked out of Starter Heyman with the ring that was going to make her go wow and say yes.
I love my ring. It is so beautiful.
I absolutely love my ring. I get compliments on it all the time. I always tell them Starter Heyman.
Yeah, we would definitely recommend Starter Heyman.
Yeah, it was great.
We're definitely coming back.
Sutter Heyman Jewelers, Lincoln and Grand Island. SutterHeyman.com.
Not all championships come with a trophy. Some help save lives. If you'd like to be on the team that kicks cancer's butt, come to Buffalo Wings and Rings in Lincoln this fall and support their Cheers to Hope campaign. Every Cheers to Hope koozie or ACS chicken ringer you buy supports the American Cancer Society and their fight against cancer. Sounds like a win to me. You get great beer, the best chicken sandwich in the league, the chicken ringer, and you're helping fight cancer. Cheers to Hope at Buffalo Wings and Rings, the better Buffalo.
Security First Bank. We're the bank, and we make your mortgage more manageable with flexible terms, trusted advice, and competitive rates. When you work with us, we'll know your name, but we'll also get to know your home dreams too. Security First Bank of Lincoln. Voted best small bank in Nebraska by Newsweek magazine. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. NMLS number 505011.
Take your tan to the max at Max Tan and tan for a can every day through the month of October. Bring in a can of food for the food bank and get a free tan from Max Tan. See maxtan.net for details. Tan for a can every day in October. Only at Max Tan.
Toys and sports collectibles, 6200 Havelock Avenue.
Hi, I'm Kevin with Sports Fantastic.
And I'm Daryl at Stop and Shop Funko Pop.
We have two of the best collectible stores in the coolest place in Lincoln, in historic Havelock by Misty's. Sports Fantastic has tons of sports memorabilia for Huskers and other hard-to-find teams.
And Stop and Shop Funko Pop has all your Funko and anime needs. It's your one-stop shop on one block at 6200 Havelock.
6200 Havelock Avenue.
No doubt about it, a water softener saves you money. Don't have one? Call the plumbers at Bryant. Just one call and no arm-twisting contracts. For a free estimate, call 467-1111 or go to BryantLincoln.com.
Hey, it's Sean Callahan, and football season is here, and Tanner's Bar and Grill at 30th and Yankee Hill has food and drink specials every night for all the games. Enjoy jumbo pork tenderloin for $8.99 and 90-cent wings for Monday Night Football, or come for Thursday Night Football with chicken fried chicken, steak, or pork for just $9.99 and $20 Coors Light aluminum buckets. Watch college football on Saturdays with an eggy sandwich for $9.99 and Coors Light specials, and catch NFL Sundays with Bloody Marys and more. That's Tanner's Bar and Grill at 30th and Yankee Hill.
Listening to this Allstate commercial about savings might be the hardest thing about getting those savings. Save for simply becoming an Allstate customer. Save more for adding DriveWise. And save even more for driving safely. Visit Allstate.com or contact your local agent for a quote today. Allstate. Minimum effort, maximum reward.
Not available in every state. New customer savings based on early signing discount. Drive-bys is an optional feature. Savings vary based on how you buy. Subject to terms and conditions. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Northbrook, Illinois.
You knew the risks when you decided to drive drunk. There could be a crash. People could get hurt or killed. But that didn't stop you, did it? You knew you could get arrested. You could incur huge legal expenses, and you could possibly even lose your job. You were well aware of the consequences of driving drunk. But one thing's for sure. You were wrong when you said it was no big deal. Drive sober or get pulled over. This message brought to you by NHTSA.
Now back to the happy hour with Nick Sainert and Enrique Alvarez Clary on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Back here on the happy hour, 93.7 The Ticket, ticketfm.com. Nick Sainert and Enrique Alvarez Clary with you, 464-5685. We are now joined on the Honda of Lincoln hotline, as we are every Wednesday, by Aaron Sorensen of Hale Varsity. Aaron, how are you doing?
I'm good. Just, trying to stay excited with this weather. It's very I don't know. I feel like it's good nap weather.
That's exactly what I just told Rico. I've kind of been in a lazy mood all week.
I don't know why you guys are like that. I'm getting soup when I get home. I'm going to watch a volleyball game. It's exciting.
Yeah, let's start with the volleyball, Aaron. It's a pretty exciting sports night in Lincoln, just all around with basketball and volleyball. But Nebraska, they have a pretty exciting matchup going up against number 3 Wisconsin. When looking at Wisconsin, are there any concerns that outside of Dana Retke, I suppose, that when you're looking at Wisconsin and the matchup that face Nebraska tonight, how much confidence are in the Huskers for you?
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those things where when you look at, and also I'm going to fair warning, I am very concerned that my dog is going to start barking. So if she does, she's just really excited with us.
That's okay. We love dogs.
I'm am setting the expectation and preparing us all right now, the joys of working from home some days. The thing that's like just in general tough about Wisconsin is like, I really appreciated Jacob Padilla and how he said this, that Penn State Nebraska has been a rivalry that people in the Big Ten have always been very excited about. But this Nebraska Wisconsin game has really kind of found its groove as well. And the thing I will say about what Nebraska needs to be aware of is this is a team where Nebraska hasn't beaten Wisconsin since 2017. Lauren Stivrins is the only one on this roster that has defeated Wisconsin at this point in her career. So you look at just like the general history between these two, and Wisconsin gives Nebraska a run for its money. Now, I will say what I just said is also a little teeny bit misleading, just in the sense that they did not face for the 2020-2021 spring move from fall season because of COVID issues with Wisconsin. So there's also a year missing in there that, you know, who knows what this spring would have looked like if the two had actually played. But this is going to be a really big test for Nebraska, but a good test is coming at a really good time.
So Wisconsin, adding on with Dana Recchi and her 6'8" size, they added a freshman from Ontario, Anna Smurek. I believe I'm saying her name wrong, probably. What is Nebraska going to have to do to counter a 6'8" Dana Recchi and a 6'9" Anna right there in the middle?
Yeah, it also doesn't help that they have the 2020 Big Ten Setter of the Year on their team as well. So then not only do you have these tower hitters, but now you also have a setter that is one of the best. And you know, they're just going to have to play really, really sound volleyball. And it's going to be a test, especially for some of these young players. When you think of Lindsay Krause, but she's been finding her footing, finding her groove this season as well. So we know what Lauren Stivrins can do. What you need is people to match Lauren Stivrins. You need that kind of, you know, nasty attitude that she brings and can really like go up and I would even say like Nicklin's got that kind of attitude too when she plays. So I think Nebraska really just has to go into this and play its game. Like just, I kind of take that, like, you don't need to force plays. You don't need to force things that aren't there for you. Let the game come to you. Play the game that's being given to you. I think if Nebraska can just play its game and not force things, they'll be in a good spot. But this is definitely a game, especially against, like you said, the couple of players, and again, they have one of the best setters. So it'll be a good test. Like I said, it's a good test, but it's a good time for this test. This is a big week, and Nebraska hasn't played a game quite of this caliber in quite a while in the Big Ten. So, you know, we'll see how, especially these young players, respond.
Mm-hmm. We're speaking to Aaron Sorensen of Hale Varsity. So we know about Lexi Rodriguez's recruitment. We know the talent that they saw in her as a 9th grader and how they offered her. Have you been surprised at all with the amazing season, 3-time freshman of the week, and she got defensive player of the week this last week? Have you been surprised at all with the season that she's having?
I don't think so, because I think we knew coming into the season, but then also as Nebraska was going through non-conference play, you know, as John Cook was settling this rotation, he was figuring out who he was going to start and what he was going to do. And we saw Kenzie Knuckles move out of the libero spot, and we saw Lexi take that. You know, I trust John Cook knows what he's doing far more than I do. And so, like, as we're kind of watching these moves take place and we're watching Lexi settle into this role, it was clear that there was a ton of confidence in what she was able to do. We knew she was great before she arrived at Nebraska, but I think she is not only living up to what people thought, but she's exceeding those expectations. But she is just a firecracker. That is every photo I see of her, every still image you see of her is just her, like, you know, she's one of the shortest people on this team, but she's bigger than life. Mm-hmm. And I think she plays larger than life. And so I would say, no, her play hasn't surprised me, just because as we've watched sort of how she's evolved into this lineup and how Cook is utilizing her, it made sense what he was seeing. Now, I'd say she still has far exceeded all of our expectations at the exact same time, which is really exciting. Think of her 4 years from now.
It's going to be fantastic.
We're speaking with Aaron Sorensen of Hill Varsity, as we do every Wednesday here on the Happy Hour. Aaron, all right, time to switch over to football real quickly before we talk about Nebraska. Obviously, J.D. Spielman retired yesterday. Do you ever think or find yourself looking back and wondering how his career would have panned out if he would have stayed at Nebraska?
Yeah, it's so hard. I think the thing with JD, and you see this with so many different, players when they either make a choice to move on or if they hang up the cleats and move on in their lives, even just from football or any sport, is JD is somebody who has been fairly open about his own mental health. He was somebody who really, he protected his own peace. He didn't really like to speak too openly to the media and different things. And as much as I would have loved to have had the opportunity to talk to him more, I really respected that because, I respect anyone who makes choices that are best for them personally. What would have panned out? I think a lot of people look at what could that have looked like for Nebraska had he, stuck around. And this hard part is if he wasn't happy at Nebraska, and I'm kind of, I'm putting words into his mouth to a degree, but I'm just saying when people transfer for various reasons, you don't know what that would have looked like, I guess. So it's kind of nice. It's kind of nice in the sense of like the what if, the dream of like what it could be, but that's also assuming everything would have stayed, relatively the same for him. And, teams change, rosters change. In his case, coaches change. And, he had to move on. And so as much as we could sit there, and I've had people in my mentions telling me that. So oh, you wish you could have seen. And it's like, unfortunately, he had to move on for what was best for him and now is moving on from the sport altogether. So we can always kind of wonder, I mean, he's in the record book enough. You can always wonder what could have been with more time, but it kind of at that point is just a what if, and we'll never know.
Yeah. Moving on to Nebraska football here. I guess under Scott Frost, Nebraska really hasn't been all that successful coming out of a bye week. How important is it for Nebraska to not come out flat on Saturday against Purdue, which a Purdue team, especially on the defensive side, is better than in years past?
Am I wrong in saying hasn't Nebraska not won a game out of the bye week?
You're absolutely correct.
You are correct.
I hate to say that. No, to be fair, Nebraska has 2 of them this year. So who knows? That definitely throws a wrench into like the whole history of it. I think that's the biggest thing is Nebraska cannot come out like it did against Minnesota. It cannot come out flat. It cannot come out without juice. This team has to be amped up. The margin for error is so small with this Nebraska team that every little detail has to be nearly perfect. It doesn't have to be 100% perfect, but it's got to be dang close. And part of that is the energy that they even just show up with. We saw it against Minnesota that the defense even came out flat, but went into the locker room, figured it out, and came out better in the second half. And that was great. But at the same time, like the offense was still trying to find its footing. That can't happen. Purdue is not going to allow Nebraska that time, whereas maybe a game previously, they could have kind of had that time to finagle, but clearly Minnesota's not giving you that time. No team left on this schedule is giving you that time. So they got to come out. It's a 2:30 game. They've got a little bit more time to get amped up. There's just no reason that they can't be fired up right from the get-go.
We're speaking to Aaron Sorensen, Hail Varsity. All right, Aaron, I'm going to give you a magic wand. If you could neutralize one of these players, which one are you going to choose? George Karlaftis or David Bell?
Oh, gosh. I feel like I have to take David Bell. The wild part is Purdue has these, like, Purdue's roster is just filled with like little like landmines. I almost feel like that's the best way to put it, where it's like, if you take this one person out, this person can hurt you. It's like you've got 3 quarterbacks that can all do different things to a defense. I'm going to take Bell just because, but at the same time, there's a reason Shenander talked about multiple players on offense, but I'm going to still take Bell.
Okay.
We're going to hit all the sports before we let you go here. Let's move on to men's basketball real quickly here, just for a brief moment. what constitutes a successful season in your eyes, knowing how rigorous the Big Ten conference is, and also pairing that with what Fred Hoiberg and his staff have done in a short amount of time? What's a successful Husker men's basketball season look like to you?
You know, that's a great question, because I think when you're looking at this, Nebraska needs to win. This is it's so hard with the 2020-2021 season because of everything with just COVID and how that changed things. But like, Nebraska's been at, the absolute bottom of this conference for the last couple of years. And obviously this is the time where like a winning record is really, I think, what Nebraska needs. I know people have said, well, what about getting to the NCAA tournament? What about this? What about that? Those would be great if you achieve them. I'm not saying don't shoot for the moon. But Nebraska needs a winning record. That would be 2 more wins. I'm stealing this from Jacob Padilla because he had a great recap, but that's 2 more wins than the previous 2 years combined to get a winning record. So I think like that's a good place to start. That's where you start to feel good. But this roster has a ton of talent on it. So you start to kind of think like, what if things can really get rolling? And I think for a fan or a media expectation, I'm probably going to set my benchmark a little bit lower than what the team obviously is going to do. They should shoot for the moon. They should shoot for the absolute biggest dreams they can. But for me, I'm like, they really just got to get to a winning record.
Yeah, one last one before we let you go. We're talking to Aaron Sorensen of Hale Varsity. All right, Aaron, outside of Bryce McGowan's, who are you most excited to see play tonight against Peru State and the season, I supppe?
Oh, I feel like I want to say Trevor Lake, just because after watching that one practice.
Interesting.
He is just like a lot of fun to watch. We got to see some open practice of his, and he was just like making shot after shot after shot. I will say, beyond Bryce, and I feel like there's so many people on this roster that will be fun to watch for different reasons. I also am excited to see Alonzo Verge, because he's just got a really like kind of he's just so confident in who he is, and he's got a different like kind of swag level to himself where like it'll be fun to see that on the court, especially with fans. I think for a lot of these players, seeing them with fans is going to be fun because we've watched them without for so long. So I think there'll be a lot. But yeah, I'm like, let's see what Trevor can do.
All right. So Aaron's taking Trevor Lakes there, her dark horse to be fun to watch. All right, Aaron, appreciate the time as always. Enjoy the fun night ahead tonight in Lincoln, and then enjoy the game on Saturday.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Get yourself some chili. Stay warm.
Oh, yes.
That is Aaron Sorensen of Hale Varsity. Appreciate the time as always from her. All right, let's take our final timeout. We have a short segment on the other side. We'll wrap it up next here on the Happy Hour.
Download our app by searching 93.7 The Ticket in your app store to stay in touch and listen all day long wherever you are. More of the Happy Hour is next on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Toys and sports collectibles, 6200 Havelock Avenue.
Hi, I'm Kevin with Sports Fantastic.
And I'm Daryl at Stop and Shop Funko Pop.
We have 2 of the best collectible stores in the coolest place in Lincoln, in historic Havelock by Misty's. Sports Fantastic has tons of sports memorabilia for Huskers and other hard-to-find teams.
And Stop and Shop Funko Pop has all your Funko and anime needs. It's your one-stop shop on one block at 6200 Havelock.
6200 Havelock Avenue.
Security First Bank. We're the bank, and we make your mortgage more manageable with flexible terms, trusted advice, and competitive rates. When you work with us, we'll know your name, but we'll also get to know your home dreams too. Security First Bank of Lincoln. Voted Best Small Bank in Nebraska by Newsweek magazine. Member FDIC. Equal housing lender. NMLS number 505011.
Guys, we need to talk about a problem plaguing our society today: chronic fruitcake slander. Now, maybe you're thinking, I've had fruitcake. It's dry and heavy. Well, I'm here to tell you that you're eating the wrong fruitcake, because Grandma's fruitcake is anything but. Their recipe uses the highest quality fruits, hand-sorted nuts, and adds the perfect amount of brandy, bourbon, and rum. Their desserts are known and loved across the country, and they're made right here in Southeast Nebraska. If you haven't tried them yet, you're missing out. Grandma's Fruitcake from Beatrice Bakery. Welcome to our world of yum.
Take your tan to the max at Max Tan and tan for a can every day through the month of October. Bring in a can of food for the food bank and get a free tan from Max Tan. See maxtan.net for details. Tan for a can every day in October, only at Max Tan.
At first, I was really nervous and intimidated to buy a ring. I wasn't sure what I was getting into.
My experience at Starter Heyman was very easy. I felt like I walked out of Starter Heyman with the ring that was going to make her go wow and say yes.
I love my ring. It is so beautiful.
I absolutely love my ring. I get compliments on it all the time. I always tell them Starter Heyman.
Yeah, we would definitely recommend Starter Heyman.
Yeah, it was great.
We're definitely coming back. Sure. Sauter Heyman Jewelers, Lincoln and Grand Island. SauterHeyman.com.
Your home should not be a zoo to unwelcomed animals. Let the experts at Bats to Rats take care of those problems. Dane has been a leader in wildlife and pest management and prevention in Lincoln and the surrounding area for 15 years. He can help you get rid of bats, rodents, and anything else. Whether it's residential or commercial buildings, schools, apartments, or churches, they're always a phone call away. Call today at 402-310-0904 or visit batsterats.com. Bats to Rats Wildlife Control and Prevention.
Tailgating wasn't just meant for weekends. Join 93.7 The Ticket every Tuesday at Chick-fil-A for Tailgate Tuesdays. Scan your app with any purchase on Tuesdays and you'll be entered to win a tailgate meal for 15 people. That's chicken nuggets, fresh fruit, and iced tea or lemonade. Winners will be contacted each Wednesday, and you can come see Tom and Bach from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the 48th and O location or at South Point each week. It's Tailgate Tuesdays all season long at Chick-fil-A in Lincoln.
Are you dragging through each day? Most people are dehydrated or deficient in essential vitamins, minerals, and more. Live Hydration Spa helps you get more out of your life with their IV hydration treatments to help with anti-aging, weight loss, endurance, and more. Their performance packages can help you feel better doing your normal daily routine with boosts of energy and vitality, an increase in immunity, and quicker athletic recovery. Call today for an appointment at 402-413-2042 or walk in at 71st and Pioneers. Live Hydration Spa.
With today's Husker Radio Report, I'm Sean Callahan of HuskerOnline.com. It's obviously been a difficult few weeks for defensive coordinator Eric Chinander as he lost his father right before the Minnesota game. Chinander spoke on that for the first time on Tuesday.
But I want to say thank you to the Husker Nation, including media, fans, colleagues, student athletes, all the coaches around the country, just for the tweets, for the cards, for the texts, and for the kind words. Thank you guys very much. Anybody that said anything, it meant a lot to me and the family.
Meanwhile, on the field, Chinander has to get this Husker defense ready for a Purdue offense that will play three different quarterbacks at times.
So I think you got to understand what they're doing with their piece of the offense now, but you also have to understand that they're real quarterbacks and they can run the whole offense. So we can't just put 11 guys up in the box and defend the run. We got to be ready for them to throw the football and do a lot of different things.
It's been the defense, though, that's been the story for Purdue early on. The Boilermakers are ranked third in total defense in the Big Ten. Reporting with the Nebraska football team in Lincoln, I'm Sean Callahan of HuskerOnline.com.
Brokers Insurance Agency is currently hiring full-time and part-time insurance professionals. They will provide you with the training and education to obtain your insurance licenses. Brokers Insurance Agency takes pride in educating clients with the best insurance program to help their clients meet their specific goals. If you're a hardworking, motivated person and would like to discuss a great career opportunity with Brokers Insurance Agency, please call Ken Richards at 402-420-5353 or email service@brokersinsuranceagencyne.com. The team at Brokers Insurance Agency is looking forward to helping you get started with your insurance career.
Venue at Home is your answer for locally made, freshly prepared meals delivered to your door every week. Our meals come ready to heat and eat. With sizes for 2 people or 4, Venue at Home is perfect for busy people who want a quick, easy, and delicious meal option to share with your roommates or feed the whole family. Add on from our wide selection of appetizers, sides, desserts, alcohol, and more. Receive a discount on your meals by subscribing to get Venue at Home delivered every week. Visit venueathome.net to order today. That's venueathome.net.
You're listening to the Happy Hour with Nick Sainert and Enrique Alvarez Clary on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Back here one final time on the Happy Hour, 93.7 The Ticket, ticketfm.com. Stay tuned. Here at 3 p.m., DP will be joined by a couple special guests. At 3, Heather Brink from Husker Women's Gymnastics will join DP. And then at 3:30, Mr. Mark Manning of Huskers Wrestling stops by to talk to Mr. Pearson as well. So stay tuned. One-on-one with DP is next. Rico, let me ask you this. I saw this come across the Twitter feed today. Stat of the day. I know it's okay. Don't worry about this, the sounder. Unless you already have it.
Stat of the day. Yeah.
Perfect. Georgia football has 9 5-stars on their defense. Guess how many the Pac-12 conference has as a whole?
4.
No, 9.
Oh, 9. Okay.
They have 9.
I thought it was less.
So
as an entire Pac-12,
the entire Pac-12 conference has 9 defensive players who were 5-stars, while Georgia has 9 on their defense.
That checks out. I've seen Georgia's defense. That 9 5-stars sounds about right.
They've allowed 46 points all year, and they average giving up. They give up on average 6.6 points per game.
And this is why I said that if Georgia and Iowa played, Georgia would destroy them.
And here's another thing is in total defense, I believe is the stat I looked at.
Mm-hmm.
Wisconsin is second in total defense.
Wow, look at them.
They allow just over 18 points per game. However, in terms of running the football, they only allow 1.87 yards per carry, which is pretty good.
That is very tiny. That's a tiny number.
Chanel at the linebacking spot for Wisconsin is quite talented.
That is a tiny number.
So, yeah.
This is the year of defense. I don't care what anybody says. You see Wake Forest, but this is the year of defense.
Absolutely
You
wild.
think Wake Forest makes the college football playoff
No
if they
way.
win the ACC?
No
Why?
way.
So the ACC just won't get anybody in the playoff.
Yeah.
Because it's between right now Wake Forest and Pitt. Neither one of them has faced a ranked team yet. Pitt has a loss to like Western Michigan or something. Wake Forest is undefeated.
Who are your 4 teams? Cincinnati,
Georgia, Cincinnati,
Ohio State.
And I mean, I don't want it to be Alabama. Like the only way Alabama makes it is if they beat Georgia, and then both of them make it. But if Georgia beats Alabama in the SEC championship
Oklahoma?
game, I mean, I guess they're still undefeated if they win the Big 12.
I think
that's what I'm
Oklahoma's
saying. I
that
want Wake
spot.
Forest. Give me Wake Forest.
We're done for today. One-on-one with DP is next. See ya.
Adios.
At MD Pain, we know chronic pain is a problem. It can lead to isolation,